right, and welcome everyone. Welcome here to this session today. I am so excited to be bringing this to you. Welcome here. It is your man, your fearless leader, Mr. Michael Over-Deliver Baptiste. Now, with this being one of the newer editions of this actual show, I wanted to do something different. Normally we talk a lot about business. Normally we talk a lot about strategy, marketing, and different things like that to help you grow your business, right? But what are the other aspects to building a conscious lifestyle business? Well, one of those aspects is health, because health is wealth. Without health, you don't have anything. So I said to myself, okay, I'm a very health conscious, advocate of good health. And I even put put the money where my mouth is by doing my best to solve problems for people, health and wellness related. However, we haven't done that. We haven't been putting that forward in the high-tech society and with this entire movement. So I wanted to do something very, very special today. So I went out and I actually found a very special guest. She is a personal friend of mine. I do got to say that because I'm proud of her. And I got to say, hey, this is my friend Awesome. Because as you guys know, I have some awesome friends. And she is one of the most awesome. And like we've been going back and forth. We've been rescheduling. We've been trying to figure times out. She's a very busy professional doing a lot. And I'm so grateful that we finally have been able to get, lock down the time here. During these lockdown times here, no pun intended.
I see what you did there.
But ladies and gentlemen, look, I'm so excited to bring you Miss Ashley Carter.
Hi. Well, Mike already introduced. My name is Ashley Carter. So I am a registered dietitian in the South Florida area in Miami, Florida.
Awesome. And so, Ashley, can you tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do and how the whole dietitianary work works?
Okay, so as a quick background, to be a registered dietitian is different than when someone calls herself a nutritionist. So to be a registered dietitian, you need to have a 4-year or a master's degree. You also have to complete an internship where you learn the clinical side of dietetics as well. So that's learning the science behind food. So I work in the public health section, and I'm also a co-founder of a nonprofit, Eat Well Exchange. So we promote nutrition, but with the focus on your culture. So pretty much we go out into communities, we teach people how to eat foods that they grew up with, and also the benefits of those foods. I also have a private practice as well. So I work with clients that are recently diagnosed with diabetes, high blood pressure, or people that just want to modify their diets, and I help them eat healthier.
I love that. You help those people who need it to eat healthier. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, so why did you get into the whole dietitian world? Like, why did this intrigue you, and why is it that you do what you do?
Family history. I grew up in Liberty City, which is an inner city area in Miami, and pretty much a lot of people there, including my family, were burdened with health issues. So most of it came from us not having access to healthier foods, and also us just not knowing better. So the way we cook foods, the way that we choose to eat foods, and the way that we chose to live our lives are typically not healthier ways. So as I got older, I realized that we have more control in that than we perceive. So pretty much the foods we eat, the activities we do, everything is either helping or hurting you. So I just wanted to find out more ways to find foods that help me.
Right on. I mean, that's powerful.
Yeah.
You have that family history, and it sounds to me like you are the person who has been focused on breaking that generational curse in your family.
Definitely. Health is one of our greatest assets. So, you can have all the money in the world, but if you get sick, your business can't continue to run.
Yeah, I agree. So what are some ways people can actually stay healthy and improve their health and wellness during these times we're in right now?
Well, right now, one thing that I notice is a lot of people, they're working from home. So when you're working from home, you typically don't follow the schedule that you typically do when you're at work. So a easy thing to do is just stick to a schedule. So wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, and then call that meal you're eating breakfast. So what I mean by that is sometimes you'll just wake up and you'll eat a banana, but is that your breakfast or was that a snack? So kind of labeling meals so that way you can say, okay, I already ate breakfast, let me wait and then have a snack in a couple of hours. Because if not, you're just munching on little things all day. And even if it's healthy, even if it's fruits and vegetables, you still just don't want to eat the entire day because those little bites of food you have, everything, it contributes to your blood sugar. It makes your blood sugar, it makes your insulin spike, which isn't healthy for you. So not to get too technical, but pretty much it's better just to eat, your scheduled meals throughout the day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and maybe 2 or 3 snacks in between. And also moving. I know, Mike, when you wrote me earlier, I was going for a run. If you're working from home, every day you need to find an exercise that you enjoy doing, whether it's yoga, running, even going for a walk. Anything you do is beneficial. Because when you're home, you're not moving as much as you typically are when you're in an office space. So
yes,
schedule
agreed.
some time in your day to do that, just like you schedule time for meetings.
Yeah, I think that's super important. You even shared that you yourself were going for a run when we were talking earlier, and that's just the perfect example of you actually like doing what it is that you preach. I love that. So for someone who's sitting there listening to this and they're like, okay, I get it. She's a dietitian, but how can this help me? Like what are some things? I know that you shared a bit about like labeling the meals and making sure that you get movement, but what are some additional things that a person can do to maintain good health and keep their immune system strong right now?
The main thing is just eating fruits and vegetables, staying away from processed foods. So trying to eat as home as much as possible and eating whole foods. So you don't have to actually go to the grocery store whole foods in order for it to be healthy, but eating foods that come from the ground is what I mean when I say whole foods. So eating, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, even honestly, if they're canned or frozen. Of course, it's not the same as it being fresh, but it's still better than eating processed foods. So that's anything that's in a box, anything that's in a bag, anything that usually has a label is typically processed. So just eating more whole foods and having a fruit or vegetable on every plate is usually my best recommendation. Another thing also is to start small. So if you're not eating if you're not really that healthy right now, I wouldn't say to commit to going vegan. Just start eating more vegetables. Sometimes when you try to be like very drastic, it sounds great, but in the end of the day, it's not obtainable. So you're probably going to make a small change and then 2 weeks later, just, go right back to what you're doing before, maybe even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So small goals.
Yeah. Okay. Small goals. You it's so interesting to me how like you keep it real where you're saying, hey, look, yeah, this is the way to go, but I know that you're probably not going to do it. But if you're
Right.
not going to do it, at least you can just do this to kind of improve a little bit. And I think that's important for those who haven't like fully made that jump to, activating a healthy, alkacidic diet. I'm not even sure the term, but just, adopting that healthy lifestyle, like for people who are just getting started with this type of information. So let's say a person does eat a lot of processed foods. They do eat a lot of meats. Like, give me like, if you were in that position, what would you do first to kind of move yourself into a more healthy lifestyle?
That's a really good question because a lot of times it all depends on what you're doing right now. Because if you're not eating the best right now, if you're typically going out to eat, eating a lot of fast food, eating a lot of processed foods, the best thing to do is assess what you eat. And what I mean by that is you can either log your foods or you can just start being more mindful and saying, okay, what am I really eating? So for breakfast, am I eating granola? How much granola am I eating? Am I eating, Fruit Loops? Like, what are you eating? So the first thing is to just actually think about what you're eating. And then after that, we're going to think about how you can make it into a healthy meal, how you can make your plate healthy. So I wish this was like, in the news where you can draw a whole visual, but pretty much picture a plate. Half of your plate should be either fruits or vegetables. The other half is divided between grains and protein. So pretty much when you're eating your meal right now, whatever your meal is, let's say that you're eating a burger, a burger from a fast food place. You have your buns, that's your grains. You have the meat, that's the protein. You have the lettuce, tomatoes, the onions, that's your vegetables and your fruit. So pretty much no matter what you eat, you want to try to divide your plate and start moving towards healthier options because someone may eat a burger with just the meat and the bread, you know? So if that's the burger you're eating, now you want to add more vegetables. So it's just taking what you have now, first assessing what you're actually doing, and then adding more vegetables to it and decreasing the protein and the carbs to equal half of the plate. You're trying to visualize the plate, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize that plate right now. Yeah, okay, let me
Yes.
divide this up, the protein. Okay.
Right. And honestly, you can make that plate out of anything that you do. So even if it's not something that you're physically eating on the plate, that's why I mentioned the burger, because that's not something you really put on the plate, but you can still use that same visual to map it out.
Right. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Because each part of the burger does have the
Grain,
essential.
protein. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I guess because I'm not an expert. You are like this is now enlightening me because I'm like, oh, okay, you receive those that nourishment from different groups with
Yes.
certain meals that you eat.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, so just applying it to everything. That's the main thing because some people say like, oh, well, I'm eating tacos, so how am I supposed to do half vegetables? Or, oh, I'm eating pasta. What am I supposed to do? So no matter what you eat, you can take, you can always add vegetables.
Right, right, for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
Okay, and so considering that we're in this whole lockdown situation, nobody knows what's going to happen next. The reality is that this lockdown will end. This too
Right.
shall pass, and we will beyond. We will be beyond this. But like, what are some of your predictions and I guess your outlook for the next 12 months for where things are going and for what a person should be doing to maintain optimal health and wellness?
Well, one thing when it comes to COVID-19 is there's, if you look at the numbers, people that have pre-existing medical conditions are the ones more likely to, pass away or to have greater complications. So what is that telling us? It's saying that if you're healthy, there's certain things you can't control. You can't control if you go to a grocery store or touch a shopping cart and get COVID-19. You can't control that. But if you come in healthier, it's more likely that, you're going to get through. So that's just teaching us that our body is like our armor. So that if we're keeping ourselves armored with healthy foods, disease free, our blood sugar, blood pressure, everything is in check. When diseases, when viruses, when anything tries to come our way, our body's going to help protect us. So the main thing we should focus on as the time goes on is just what can we continue to do to protect ourselves? What foods are we eating? What things are we doing? Like, how are we dedicating our time? How are we dedicating our resources to protect ourselves? So it's just, trying to prevent as much as possible because we know that once you have conditions, once you're diagnosed with diabetes, a lot changes. So it's just preventing yourself from getting to that point.
Absolutely. Well, diabetes and these different diseases, right? Most of them are caused by what we put into our gut.
Yes. So
Yeah.
there is like a genetic component as well. But another thing
Hmm.
that we have to remember is we typically eat the way that our family eats. We
Yeah.
typically have the habits of family members. If if every man in your family played basketball, more than likely you're going to play basketball. And if
Yeah.
everyone in my family sits on the couch all day and watches TV, more than likely as I grow up, I'm going to sit on the couch all day and watch TV because that's what I've seen. So there's a genetic component, but also we have to remember it's us kind of like imitating what we've seen growing up too. So we have
Yeah.
more control of these conditions than we think.
Yes, 100%. Are you familiar with epigenetics?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
well, please share some insight on because you mentioned something, and I really want like our audience to catch this is that yeah, you can grow up and your family can do things a certain way, but you can make a different choice. And yeah, please share how epigenetics comes into this conversation.
So pretty much of epigenetics, there's a couple different like aspects to look at when you talk about it. So pretty much it's saying how our genes can change and transform. So there's some things when it comes to nutrition, like even when a baby's breastfed, it actually changes their genes. So if someone's predisposed to having, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and that baby's breastfed, now their risk has decreased. So pretty much it's just saying how can we alter our genes to benefit us? And also on the other side, if someone begins to smoke, or if someone begins to drink excessively, things like that happen, they can also alter your genes as well. So it's
Mhm.
saying that, there's that, the human genome, some of it is set in place, but some of it can be altered depending on our lifestyle factors.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of those lifestyle factors that come into play?
Um, well, a lot of our habits. So if we begin, smoking, drinking, consuming foods that are very high in fat, very high in sugar, a lot of processed foods, genetically modified foods, which is a whole nother subject because a genetically modified food is pretty much any food that is man-made, like man-altered pretty much, that someone is in a laboratory modifying the seeds usually. So it's very popular for corn now to be genetically modified and a lot of other, foods that we're consuming or that are being sold. So pretty much when you modify those crops, you're modifying the way that our body responds to it, which will modify your genes as well.
Mm.
Right. So this really, really, really motivates you to just try to eat as much foods that are natural as possible. Because like I said, anything processed, anything modified will also, have that effect on you.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
but a quick
and we don't want.
disclaimer, don't go crazy and feel like if you don't eat organic, you're going to, fall out. That's not the case. You do the best you can with the resources that you have available to you. So if the only, fruits and vegetables you have, if they're at a smaller grocery store, that's fine. You eat those fruits and vegetables. If you're in a rural area and you have access to a farm, go to the farm. So just use what you have. I don't want you to feel like, okay, all I have is this store. So I have, it's better that I don't buy this because it could be modified. No, still buy the fruits and vegetables because no matter what, that's a better bet to have fruits and vegetables than to go without.
Hmm. I agree. Yeah, I agree. And so fruits and vegetables definitely play an important part in maintaining optimal health. And epigenetics, is a way that we can, I guess, alter our genetics through, as you mentioned, lifestyle choices, habits, and things of that nature. But what about when it comes to like completely eliminating the body or I guess decreasing the body's chance to get sick? How does that work? How can a person do that?
Okay. So again, fruits and vegetables, it keeps coming back to them. When you eat a lot of the brighter fruits and vegetables, like berries are bright, um, and even something like pitaya, dragon fruit, anything bright like that, that almost like stains your fingers, pretty much like blueberries, anything like that, they're very rich in antioxidants. So what antioxidants do is they help prevent free radicals in your body. So a free radical can become anything it wants in your body. So if you have cancer in your body and you have free radicals, the free radicals attach to the cancer cells and help it grow and multiply. So what the antioxidants do is they
Oh.
pair with the free radicals so that way can stop your body from, a lot of the negative outcomes. So not trying to get too technical, but just kind of explaining the science behind it. Because I know we always hear antioxidant, we always hear free radicals, but you probably don't know like why it's actually important and what it does for you. So just eating more of the brighter fruits and vegetables have antioxidants, which help prevent a lot of the, negative diseases and conditions. And, just helps decrease that risk.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I'm like, oh, okay. I never knew the antioxidant free radical. It sounds like they kind of team up and go out there and fight the bad cells in the
They
body.
do. And also protein is helpful too. Protein actually is a part of the building blocks of your immune system. So when you have protein, you're actually helping to build your immune system. And I talk very lightly about the immune system because a lot of people feel like they can just take a shot of ginger and it'll knock out everything. And I'm a fan of ginger, so I know I drink my ginger tea at night. But still,
Okay.
it's more than that. You can't just have one thing in your diet and think that you're exempt from all types of sickness. You have to eat healthy foods. You have to exercise. You have to be mindful of your alcohol and also, tobacco or any type of smoking intake. You have to be mindful of all of those things. It's not just a one piece, it's like an entire puzzle that you actually have to look into.
Right, right. And I think the piece that you're providing and sharing information about right now is like it's so important for a lot of people. Like I'm learning from this. I'm sure you in the
Good.
audience. I'm sure you're getting some value and learning from this. And this is just so important for our community as a whole because we're not exposed to this type of information.
Right. And another thing also with your immune support is rest. A lot of us, we're entrepreneurs or running, businesses. Some of us are running multiple businesses. We're maintaining our family, our school, work. We're maintaining a lot. So we run and run and run all day because we feel like we have to do all of these things, and then we don't rest. So when you rest, that's when your body is supposed to repair itself. So if we're skipping out on rest, then when is our body supposed to rejuvenate? It doesn't. And that's how we get sick easier. We're more exposed to different conditions when you're not getting rest. So that's another important thing to remember when we talk about immune support. So just because you're eating your salad, taking your ginger shot, and drinking your tea, if you're not resting, when is your body going to repair?
Very good point.
Yeah. You're putting it all together.
Yeah, it's a very good point because you have to have the rest, you have to have the proper nutrition, you got to have the exercise, you got to have the habits and the thoughts that lead you to optimal health. And bringing it all together is what creates wellness. Mm-hmm.
And that's why, honestly, in my field, I work with mental health professionals. I work with therapists all the time because sometimes clients, if someone's overweight, it's not usually because they're eating bad choices. It's because food is a trigger sometimes. And then also I work with personal trainers because you can work out all day and all night. And as you know, being an athlete, your food has to fuel you. So if you're eating a lot of, foods that are high in calories and, and you're working out all day, it's still not going to balance out because what you're eating, it does not match how much you're working out. So everything comes together.
Absolutely. So you being a dietitian, I'm sure that you are familiar with the whole concept of mucus and the whole situation of how the mucus and the attacks the immune system. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how, just how that works and how people can help themselves in their immune system?
Okay. Right. That's important because most conditions that we deal with, the root of them is inflammation. So whenever you hear someone say something about an anti-inflammatory diet, it means we're trying to prevent and decrease inflammation in our body. Any condition that ends with itis, like gastritis, pancreatitis, anything with itis means that there's an inflammation happening. So pretty much when your body's inflamed, that means there's usually an increase of mucus, which kind of is like a breeding zone for diseases and sickness. So once you have that inflammation in your body, that triggers a lot of other things. And also it makes it harder for your body to function. Because if you take anything and and it swells up, it's not going to function the way it did before. Even if we took ourselves and we swelled up completely, we couldn't walk through our front doors. So think about that when it comes to your body, that if if your intestines are inflamed, how are they going to properly break down your food? If your pancreas is inflamed, how is it going to properly, release the insulin that's going to break down the carbs that you're eating? So any type of inflammation in the body, any type of excessive mucus is going to lead to and trigger more diseases and negative conditions.
Oh no. We don't want that. We don't want that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Okay. So then what are the steps? Or I know that you've constantly talked about it, but I really want our audience to get this. Like, what are some action items or action steps they can do to reduce and lower those levels of membranes that can attack their immune system in the form of mucus?
So there's a lot of foods that can help. Like I said, never take one food and just go crazy. You don't want to do that because every diet needs balance, moderation, and variety. So ginger is great for, I've been talking about a lot of ginger. I promise I don't have any stocks in ginger. I just, love it. So ginger is good for inflammation. Turmeric is good for inflammation. Berries, so blueberries, strawberries, whichever berries you have access to are great for inflammation as well. Nuts, so if you like to eat almonds, cashews, that's great for inflammation. Dark chocolate is also an antioxidant that's good for inflammation. And again, vegetables and fruits, most of them are great for, anti-inflammatory as well. There are some foods you want to work on decreasing. I try not to, and you probably notice this, I didn't say don't eat this, don't eat that, because then sometimes that makes you feel overwhelmed. But for some people, foods that are higher in dairy lead to inflammation. So if you're one of those people that whenever you drink milk or eat ice cream, you feel bloated, that's something you may want to be mindful of. Some people can drink milk and they're fine, but a lot of people, typically of the African descent, do not handle dairy well. So just be very mindful of your body, which is important. Your body, not
Yes.
everyone else's body, but yours, because someone else can tolerate certain foods, but you need to be mindful of how you feel when you eat different foods or when you drink different things.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You know, mindfulness is important
Mm-hmm.
in maintaining that optimal health. So, you know, you talked earlier about exercise. You talked about, you know, integrating that into whatever lifestyle. You talked about eating habits. You talked about, you know, thinking, and you know, just to bring it all together, because for most people, this may be their first time even hearing something about you know, why it's important to eat fruits and vegetables and how antioxidants and free radicals work to like. This may be some people's very first time hearing about this. Can you just bring it all together into, you know, like a couple of steps that a person can take to improve their health and wellness? Just,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Let's do this. So this is pretty much like a crash course right now. So wherever you are today, the first thing you should do is assess where you are. So actually think about your habits in the morning. You wake up in the morning, what do you do? Let's say if you wake up at 7, do you eat breakfast right away? Or do you wait until 11 o'clock to eat something? You know, what are you eating when you do eat? So just think about all of those things. Think about when you snack. Think about how you feel when you eat. That's very important. Are you eating because you're stressed out? Are you eating because you're sleepy and you're trying to stay awake? And if you're doing that, that means you're not getting enough rest. So like I said, don't change anything. Just assess what you're doing and try to do this. You don't have to write it down. I think it's better if you do, but just really go through your day and see your normal patterns. See how you feel. And that's important. If you had a log, you would write down the time of day, the food items you're eating or what you're doing. And then also the third column would be how you feel when you're doing these things. So even if you go for a run, if you start to feel very tired after, you would write that down too. So that would be the first step. Assess where you are right now. And then the second step would be to look at what you're doing and really analyze. What am I eating? Am I eating fruits? Am I eating vegetables? Am I eating whole grains? Am I eating nuts? Am I eating, whole foods, or am I eating more processed foods? And then after that, you're going to start making changes. So if you notice that throughout the entire day, all you had was just a bowl of strawberries, you're going to try to add more fruits and vegetables to every meal. And again, all the changes are slow. So, like I said, if you're just eating strawberries for breakfast, you don't want to go overboard and just say, oh, I'm going vegan, I'm never eating meat again. No, start slow. Add some peppers when you cook, if you're making something that has chicken, you can chop up peppers and onions, and that counts as a vegetable. If you're having a smoothie with just fruit, you can start adding spinach to it. So, no matter what you're doing, you can make small changes. And then also, I know I mentioned to think about how you feel. That's something you really have to sort out and just really try to change your meals and change your activities so that you're not eating as a result of something. You're eating because you need the nourishment, not because you're stressed out, not because you're bored, not because you're, tired, or even socially. You have to be mindful of all of those things. And then after that, the constant phase that never ends is maintenance. So after you looked at what you're doing, you made small changes to those steps to get to where you want to go. Now, once you reach that point, you have to maintain. So you have to remind yourself, okay, this is how I felt before I made these changes. I don't want to feel like that again. So
Right.
I know I simplified it, but that was like a quick crash course on how you can take what you're doing right now, make small changes, and get to where you want to be. And then also, when you get there, just really assess how you feel. And that's one of those things that motivates you. And don't get tied up on weight. I always tell my clients that because when you look at your weight, it doesn't always reflect your health. Someone can be very small but unhealthy. Someone can be a little bit bigger and, have perfect, blood pressure and everything. So just think about more how you feel and try to find measures like that compared to just sticking to, I weigh, 150 pounds or whatever it is. You want to make sure that you find alternative measures so that way you're not tied to the scale.
I love that. Thank you. I love how you just brought it all together, and you also talked about, a person's weight and not really focusing on that, but focusing on the lifestyle choices.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, look, Ashley, I think this has been a wonderful. I know that we are unfortunately coming down to our, to the conclusion here because your time's valuable. Our audience's time is valuable. My time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable here.
Yes.
So, if for the person who watches this and said, wow, like I am just like my mind is now open to new ways of thinking about my health and my wellness. I would like to learn more from Ashley, or I would like to work more with Ashley. Like, how can they learn more about working with you? Or I know that you said you have clients that you work with. Like, how can we learn about some of your services and what you can offer to people who may be interested in taking things to the next level?
Okay. Well, two ways that they can work with me is with my nonprofit Eat Well Exchange. So we work with communities. We even have a garden in Haiti. And so pretty much if I know, so pretty much if you have a community that is in need, or if you want to help a community that's in need, you can always go to our website or to our Instagram. It's Eat Well Exchange. We even have Twitter, YouTube, everything. It's all Eat Well Exchange. And you can find out what we're doing and also support any of our efforts. If it's individual counseling, or even, if it was group counseling you wanted for you and your family, that would be through my private practice, which is Ashley V Nutrition. So that would be the best way to find me. And again, my name is Ashley Carter, and I'm a registered dietitian. So you would also find me on Instagram or anywhere as well.
Awesome. Wonderful, Ashley. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely look at the links below. Her information will be below, so you can get all of that good stuff, and you can follow her. You can, check out her website. You can support her charity, support what she's doing. I love what she's doing, and I thought that you would love her too, because she's helping people achieve greater levels of health and wellness. And again, health is wealth. So she's helping people become wealthier in the area of health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, thank you, Mike, for having me. I appreciate it. This was great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge with us. You didn't have to, so I appreciate you for taking the time to come and do so. And our listeners are now here. We're at this point and we're at this conclusion. What are some last words or last thoughts, or maybe even last quote that you'd like to leave with the audience today?
My last quote. Let me see. Okay, here's one of my favorites. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food.
Ooh, let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food.
Hippocrates. So
Awesome.
that's simple, and it explains itself, because no matter where we are, no matter where we live, no matter what we're doing, we can choose to eat healthier foods that can prevent us from needing medicine. Because if we're healthy, we won't have to be medicated. And also, when you do have health conditions, again, you can still use foods to help reverse and help combat some of those conditions. So use your food.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. I appreciate your time. It was so much fun sharing the space with you here today. I appreciate it. And yeah, that is with that, we will bring this to a conclusion.
Okay. All right. Well, have a good day.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and we will see you in the next episode. Take care and peace.